Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael and we're going to be getting right back into some more Reddit stories. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's begin. This story was created in the relationship advice subreddit by a throwaway account. The post was made in June of 2024 and is titled, I am 28, know that my son isn't mine, but my wife F26 doesn't think that I do. How do I have this conversation with her? Hello all, I made this as short as possible. I'm sorry, I've been married to my wife for 3 years and together for 5. Our son just turned 2 in early June and to put it bluntly, he looks biracial. His skin is darker than I thought it would be, he has curly hair when we most certainly don't, and his features just don't look like the standard white people, which we are. He's a beautiful boy, he just doesn't look 100% white. I asked my wife a few days after his birthday if she thought our son looked white. She said yes and asked if I was accusing her of something. I said no because I genuinely wasn't. I was just wondering. I know genetics can be weird sometimes. We fought and I apologized, but I wasn't able to shake the feeling, so I did the wrong thing and got a test done behind my wife's back. The results came in a few days ago, and I'm not my son's dad. I feel conflicted about my son. I love him, but knowing that he isn't mine leaves a sour taste in my mouth. Our son definitely prefers me, and he's my world, but he's just not biologically mine. I don't know what to make of my feelings. I'm a mix of emotions about my wife. I don't know how to talk to her. I'm angry, confused, and feeling very, very betrayed. I'm heartbroken too. I still love her. She's working at the moment and I don't want to disturb her at her office, but I feel like I'm going to explode. This is all very difficult for me to process and I can't. I can't think of when my wife cheated. We always had each other's locations for safety purposes and I can't think of any suspicious friends that she has or had. We go on regular dates and our bedroom isn't dead. We were also trying for a baby around that time, so I don't know when she cheated on me or why. Ever since we married, she's been over the moon, constantly showing off her ring and talking about me. She's like a teenager in love. How do I tell her that I know, or get that ball rolling? I don't know what I want to do yet, as stupid as that sounds. I've been stewing on it for a few days, but I still love her so much. Maybe someone can knock some sense into me. I need help. Edit, I'm becoming overwhelmed with the comments. I'm sorry. I wanted to reply to a few, but I can't. I just wanted to say thank you for commenting, and I also hope our baby was just swapped, as terrible as that sounds. Our baby didn't look biracial at birth. As he got older, he started developing features that didn't look entirely like ours. If our son's skin hadn't darkened over time, I don't think I ever would have questioned anything. The other features can be explained as a fun little surprise or a few generation hops maybe. I know that genetics can be weird. The longtime viewers know that when it comes to affairs, I'm very blunt. I would straight up just ask the wife what's up with the kid, that he got a DNA test and the two were not a match. I was really turned off when OP said that his wife got a bit defensive when he insinuated that his son was different than him. That would just make me feel even more uncomfortable. The obvious and reasonable assumption here is to think that the wife cheated on OP, but as we will discuss in the comments, some people brought up a different way to approach the situation. Now, I do think it's a bit of a reach, but some brought up the possibility that maybe the kid was swapped when he was in the hospital. Again, I think it's a reach, but I've heard of crazier things. User ICDoctor23 said, you place the results of the test in front of her and you say we need to have a conversation and go from there. Edit, you could express your concerns about the baby being switched at birth and request your wife obtain a test to ensure. You didn't want to say anything to her unless it came back as it did. User Sasamadu said, do a DNA test for your wife and your son to make sure the hospital didn't give you the wrong baby. User False Impression 8102 said, this is where you need to be strategic, not emotional. I'd get a second test just to be sure, and I might even have the kid tested against her DNA if you can obtain it, as it would rule out a hospital mix-up. Super rare, but it does happen. Then talk with a lawyer and probably pull half of any shared accounts before confronting her. Edit, yes, check with the lawyer before yanking money. Either person on a joint account can empty it. If you are reliant on a partner who has been proven scientifically untrustworthy, take steps to protect yourself. User The Unpolitical said, you mentioned that you were trying. Did you do any IVF? I just watched a documentary where a fertility doctor switched his sperm for any male patient's sperm. Also, there could have been a mix-up there. Also, someone said about a switch at the hospital. Give her the results and ask her to start explaining. Most importantly, talk to a lawyer and immediately start separating any and all financial accounts. As for the whole location being on thing, yes, someone can leave their phone in one place while they physically go to another place and then come back to pick up the phone, so you can't rely on that. If you have will and determination, you can figure out anything. User girl HVFTH said, after reading comments and knowing a thing or two about legalities, here is your order of action. See an attorney before you separate accounts or remove/hide shared assets. Could get you in big trouble depending on where you are. Get a second DNA test, get a DNA test for your wife. Maybe explicitly ask her to do it or not. Up to you. Possibilities: DNA test faulty, hospital mix-up/swapped baby. It happens and many women don't tell. Cheating. Unfortunately, it's possible. User certain mobile 1088 said, just a thought. Are you sure she is the mom? It's hard to imagine someone trying to pass off a biracial appearing child if there is no family history accounting for it. So that just raises the possibility that it could be a hospital mix-up, hence the question. I personally think it's important to keep in mind the other possibility. She was raped. Having said all that, it seems highly likely she lied, so only a full explanation from her will suffice. Please know you acted on reasonable suspicion. Again, if there is any family secret on her side about a relative with non-European heritage, she absolutely should have told you when you first asked. Verify the DNA results and then just tell her that you know he isn't your biological child. And protect yourself because she can tear him away from you or threaten to, and you don't seem to want that. And don't let her make this about you going behind her back. She broke trust with you first. A little over 2 weeks, OP gave us an update. I don't know if anyone will see this as the subreddit I posted to doesn't allow updates after 48 hours, but hello if you do. Getting the bad news out the way first, my son isn't mine. I feel devastated and will be divorcing my wife. My wife and I had talked about our son a few days after my post, and my wife cracked under the pressure. She admitted to cheating on me without me even mentioning the test I had gotten done. All I asked was if she really thought our son looked white. I mean it when I say that if his skin never got darker, I wouldn't have known. She cried a lot and begged for forgiveness and told me that we could all still be a happy family, but my image of her shattered right then and there. I'm going through heartbreak, so forgive any mistakes. I'm currently living with my parents. I asked her when she even found the time to cheat on me, and she told me that she would leave her phone in a location and use another. She told me the cheating was a mistake and an accident, but how was it a mistake if you had it so planned out? We were trying for a baby around then, and she told me that she couldn't handle the pressure of it all and just wanted to escape. She didn't escape very well if she still got pregnant and acted like we were perfect. Thank you again to everyone. My wife will now be known as my ex-wife. I apologize to anyone who had hope and thought it was a baby switched at birth situation. I'm somewhat happy it wasn't because that would be terrible, but extremely disappointed because that means he really isn't mine. There won't be any more DNA tests because she admitted to everything and showed me some text messages. There won't be any more updates from me either because I just want to move on with my life. I'll get everything sorted and figure out the whole custody thing. Thanks again, everyone. Goodbye. It always sucks to hear that one side of a relationship cheated on the other, but I'm petty, so I would be lying if I said I wasn't satisfied whenever I hear that the cheater begged for forgiveness. And I got kind of pissed off when OP's wife said that the cheating was a mistake/accident. There's that one saying that says cheating is like making multiple intentional quote-unquote accidents in quick succession. So everything that the wife is saying is utter BS. User Midnight said, my condolences to you. This is heartbreaking. What do you plan on doing with the son? Will you remove yourself from the birth certificate and his life, or will you continue to be in his life as a father or a friend? These are obviously very difficult questions to answer right now, so please stay strong and lean on your support network. You will also likely need to get the correct narrative out about why you are divorcing your wife, and hopefully she will cooperate and not spin an untruthful tale. User FarPrior1058 said, sorry to hear this. So, standard advice time. Talk to a lawyer about what divorce is going to look like and what you need to do to be removed from the birth certificate, assuming you want that. Get an STD test, as you can't assume anything about her anymore. Get the kid's DNA tested. Listen to your lawyer and see if you can gather evidence about the affair. Not sure if you're in an at-fault state. Let family and friends know so that you can have a support base. Good luck. User Wolverine said, OP, I'm so sorry this happened to you. I don't think you need any advice as you seem to know what you want and what to do. Just remember that she might call it a mistake, but you're right in the fact it was a premeditated mistake. And then she continually lied after and tried to dupe you into fathering someone else's child. Hell, she even had a second phone. The trust and love is shattered. I sincerely hope you're able to move on and find happiness. User Armory 896 said, OP, please protect yourself. Switching phones and locations, man, that is planning. I wouldn't be surprised if the plan was to cuck you all along. She sounds cold and sounds long term. Now you're about to blow up her world. Be careful to get your narrative straight. And don't hang around to get that lawyer sorted. Edit. Should definitely sue for child support from my bio father. This next post was made in the True Off My Chest subreddit by a user named Aggravatingbad4816. It's titled, I went NC with my family 2 years ago when my bully was my brother's girlfriend. English is not my first language, so forgive me for any grammar mistakes that might be present. When I was 11 years old, I was heavily bullied by Sarah, a fake name, and her friends. During lunch hour, they always tried to corner me and take my lunch money so they could share it among themselves to buy food, while I was left with nothing to buy my own. I was always hungry to the point that I couldn't properly listen to my afternoon classes. If it wasn't during lunch hour, they waited for me at the school gates so they could drag me along with them. They forced me to hang out with them because, according to them, they were my best friends. But I didn't see them that way. Every time they caught me after school, they forced me to pay for everything they bought, from makeup to fast food meals. This caused me to lose almost all of my weekly allowance, which included my lunch money. When I didn't want to spend my allowance on them, they physically beat me. They kicked me in my stomach, and sometimes they went for my head. That's why every time they beat me up, I put my arms around my head to protect it while they kicked my stomach multiple times. My mom was always infuriated with me when I asked for more money since I didn't have any left. I always told her that Sarah and her friends were the reasons why my allowance was gone so quickly, but my mother didn't believe me because she thought Sarah was a good kid, unlike me, who always begged her for more money. She believed Sarah more than me since she and Sarah's mother had been friends since elementary school. Even when I told her about the beatings, she didn't believe me. She told me that I did it to myself because I was always falling to the ground and giving myself injuries for attention since my parents worked a lot and were rarely home when I returned from school. My mother was frustrated with me about why my relationship with Sarah wasn't like hers, and every time she told me that, I just kept silent and walked away. I tried to go to my father, but he also didn't believe me and scolded me to just follow what my mother wanted. The beatings from Sarah and her friends continued until we reached high school. They even escalated to attempting to drown me in the toilet by filling it up with water using a bucket and pushing my head inside it, causing me to drink a lot of toilet water. I thought I was going to die at that moment, but a school janitor found us and managed to stop them. The school principal called our parents to inform them of what Sarah and her friends had done to me. Sarah's mother was remorseful and apologized to me repeatedly. My mother was furious, but she kept silent. I thought that was the moment she would believe me now that she had found out that Sarah was a bully. But I was wrong. When we got home, she slapped me in the face multiple times, saying how dare I embarrass her like this and that I had done something wrong to Sarah, which was why she beat me up. I cried a lot and shouted at her that she was a bad mother. She slapped me again and grounded me for a month. I didn't talk to my mother. I only replied to her when she asked me something. She was irritated with me when I did that, but didn't say anything more. After that incident, the beatings continued. I cried many times in our school's restroom. I skipped classes so that I wouldn't have to deal with them. Despite all of this, my older brother, who is a few years older than me, believed me. He tried to protect me from Sarah and her friends when he saw them bullying me after school. He tried to pick me up many times when school finished so that they wouldn't bully me, but he couldn't do it every day because he had a part-time job and was preparing for his college exams. When my mother scolded me because of my issues with Sarah, he was the only one who fought back against her and told her that Sarah was a straight-up bully, but my mother didn't believe him either. He and my mother fought a lot, but she never grounded him because of it. When my brother moved away for college, I was devastated. I cried a lot to him and asked him if he could go to college closer to home. He said that he couldn't since the college he was going to was his dream college. He was remorseful and always told me to be strong. He promised to visit me during his vacations and assured me that he would text and call me. The bullying didn't stop. It got worse throughout my high school years. It only stopped when my mother found out about the self-harm wounds on my arms and my attempt to kill myself after I told my close cousin Jane that I would jump in front of a train at the station near my school. In my senior year, I was transferred to another school to finish my studies. My mother didn't apologize to me, but she acted as if she cared from the beginning and started to treat me properly when most of my relatives, even those who lived abroad, found out how she failed to protect me. After a few years, I managed to graduate high school. I gained some friends when I went to college. I got my dream job after a few failed job interview attempts. I remained in contact with my brother. We used to do some activities together on the weekends like hiking or swimming. Sometimes I would go to his apartment to have dinner with him. He always told me stories about his time in college or his work, so I knew everything since he is sort of a non-stop talking machine. As for my parents, I didn't reach out to them unless they either texted or called me to check on me. Everything was fine until my brother told me that he had a girlfriend. I was happy for him and asked him who she was. My brother was silent and tried to drop the subject by telling me that it was only a joke, and he was just checking my reaction. I was confused, but I simply accepted his reasoning. I knew something was wrong, so I didn't ask about the girlfriend thing anymore. After a few days, I wanted to surprise my brother after work because he told me that he had recently been promoted. I usually text him when I come over to his apartment, but I didn't this time. I bought groceries for dinner and went to his apartment. When I rang the doorbell, I was expecting my brother obviously to greet me, but I was shocked when I saw Sarah. When Sarah looked at me, she was shocked as well. She tried to explain, but I shouted at her asking what she was doing at my brother's apartment. My brother immediately ran to us and put Sarah behind his back. He tried to explain what was happening, but I couldn't hear his words as it slowly hit me that the girlfriend he was talking about a few days ago was Sarah. I was crying and shouting at my brother when it clicked for me. I called him a betrayer and a dog in heat for being with his own sister's bully. I shouted at him, asking how he could do this to me when he knew what I had been through. He tried to calm me down and told me to give Sarah a chance since she was not the same person who bullied me back then. He said she loved him a lot and he loved her a lot too. She made him happy and he hoped that I could forgive her for his happiness. At this point, I couldn't take it anymore, so I threw the groceries at them and told my brother that from now on, he doesn't have a sister. He tried to stop me from leaving, but I slapped him hard on his face and told him that I hoped having that woman for his girlfriend was worth it. When I went back to my apartment, my brother kept texting and calling me. His texts were the same things he had told me about, that Sarah was a changed person and that she made him happy. He kept doing this for a few days and his texts were mostly apologizing and trying to portray Sarah as a good person to him. I blocked him afterwards. He tried going to my workplace, but he always got kicked out for making a scene. If he couldn't catch me at work, he would try to go to my apartment to wait for me so we could talk. When he did that, he pleaded with me to hear him out. I told him to get lost, but he wouldn't budge. It got so frustrating that I threatened to call the police and have him arrested as a stalker. He stopped waiting for me at my apartment. One night, I received a call from my mother. I was shocked when I saw who was calling me because my mother rarely called unless it was for an important family event that I needed to attend. She told me that I needed to give Sarah a chance since my brother would be marrying her soon. I should try to forgive her so that our families would be united. I was silent during the call and I was utterly gutted. I didn't expect anything from my mother, but to hear that my brother would marry my bully felt like the multiple beatings I had received were coming back to kill me. When my mother asked me if I was still there on the call since I wasn't saying anything, I hung up. I blocked her and my father as well. That happened 2 years ago. Since then, I haven't had any contact with any of them. My relatives knew the situation and they were disappointed in them. Despite all of this, my relatives still kept in touch with them because family matters, and Sarah is currently pregnant with my brother's child from what Jane had told me. Jane also informed me that my brother wanted me to come to his wedding in November. He wanted me to be there for him, and he wanted his sister back before Sarah gave birth to their child. I told Jane not to tell me about them anymore since I didn't want to hear anything about them. Jane respected my decision, but I could tell she was sad about it. I don't know what to do anymore. I thought I was already done being sad about my brother, but hearing that he was marrying and having a child with my bully feels like someone has pierced my heart. I just feel like I lost everything. I don't know what I did to deserve this, but I guess in some way or another, I deserve everything that has happened to me. Honestly, I don't know what to feel anymore. I just want to go numb. What kind of piece of shit parents are these? I mean, I'm glad that OP's mom finally started protecting her daughter, but way too late. As for OP's brother's girlfriend, I understand why OP is so angry, and I don't think she is in the wrong for going NC with her family after this revelation. That being said, OP isn't entitled to her brother's life, and he can live it however he wants. I like to believe that people can truly change, but I'm petty, so if it were me, I wouldn't care about any of that. I would probably also go NC. I'm also sure that seeing her old bully triggers an immense amount of anxiety and trauma within OP. Now, while I did say that OP's brother can live his life however he wants, I am definitely very confused as to how he got together with OP's bully. He obviously knew how bad of a person she was, yet he still gave her a chance and claims she changed. That just seems very strange to me. Again, all in all, I say fuck all of them and just leave the old family in the past. It's clear that nobody really loved OP. The only person that did was OP's brother, but now with this relationship, it feels like that trust has been betrayed. User Stacy506 said, "Stay NC for out and create your own family. A lot of times, those are better than the ones we are born to." Under this comment, OP said the following, "You're right. I'm glad that I have my close friends with me who believed me and feels more of a family to me. But it's hard not to feel sad and betrayed by my brother. He knew what I went through. He was there when he angrily told Sarah to stay away from me when he caught them beating me in an alley after school. He was there too when my mother called him about my wounds and my plan. He went back home immediately. He cried and hugged me tight. He told me that it was okay for me to vent to him. He was taking care of me for a few days before he went back to college. After all this, he still chooses her. I don't understand why. He can have another person as his wife. He won't have a hard time finding one since he is a good person. But why? It's hard to not cry because of him. I knew someday I need to stop thinking of having my brother back because he's going to be a husband and a father soon." User Coco Almonds Rock said, please stay NC for your own mental health. These people are not worth your pain. You have other relatives who support you. You are an adult now and can make your own life. Get therapy to heal from their trauma, but do everything you can to get away from these people and keep them out of your life permanently. All of them." OP responded with the following, "I tried therapy a lot of times after I got my job, but it's hard to maintain therapy sessions because it is expensive here. I also have a bad experience with one of my previous psychologists, but I'll try therapy again because I think I owe it to myself to try to have better mental health." User, my username is meh, said, "I will never understand why people start dating their siblings bullies like what the fuck. Your brother is a pig and your mom and Sarah are both evil incarnate." User OK Watch 8681 said, "Stories like this always blow my mind cause how can you witness your loved ones struggle and almost off themselves in real time because of someone and then see that person who probably gave a half-ass apology to you, not even the person they hurt, and think, okay, now I can fuck them and not think you'll lose them and that they'll come around for your happiness if you couldn't tell them that you were dating them. That means somewhere in your consciousness you knew you fucked up, and that should be a general indication for any of these siblings that they shouldn't do it. OP, don't let any of these people back in your life. Get therapy and move on cause they'll never learn. They're the kind of people, once you've moved on and have a family of your own, will be on here asking us how to fix up their fuck-ups and get ripped to shreds.